have the green light and they can do whatever they want. Where that is very rare to get drafted and be able to control the whole system.
Right. Was CC making decisions like...
Yeah.
With it? Yeah.
As she should.
No way.
As she should, but I also think that
Stop everything, because Sophie Cunningham just confirmed what the league desperately tried to hide. Caitlin Clark didn't just clash with Stephanie White's system, she had to dismantle it from the inside just to play her own game. This wasn't a rookie trying to adapt to the pros. This was a generational star suffocating under a playbook that never fit her style. White's rigid, slow-tempo approach was the complete opposite of Clark's fast, creative rhythm. The tension built all season until it finally erupted, not over ego, but over philosophy. Indiana's offense was holding Clark back, and she knew it. That internal battle cost the Fever cohesion, momentum, and possibly a championship. And when the breaking point came, Clark didn't back down. She took control. By the end, her absence told the real story. Sometimes reclaiming your game means burning down the system that never believed in it.
So this is what Caitlin Clark said, and I shared this before. This is what Caitlin Clark said when joining.
That's the reason why I came here, and that's what she preached to me in the recruiting process. You know, you're going to have the ball in your hands a lot. And I think a lot of my final schools kind of had that same look, but I think the read and react offense that we run was super important for myself. You know, you're making basketball reads. It's not a set. You're not being told what to do every single time you come down the floor. You're just playing the game you love. You're flowing freely. You're playing off your teammates. And that was super, super important for myself. And I think also the past success of what they've done, like it was proven that it was very successful. They've proven that they're a great offensive team. So that really...
Listen closely to those words. You're going to have the ball in your hands a lot. Read and react offense, play free, flow with the game you love. That was Caitlin Clark explaining why she chose Iowa. That was her entire basketball identity. Freedom, instinct, creativity. Now fast forward to Indiana, and look at what Stephanie White did the moment she arrived. She installed the exact opposite of that vision, a rigid, Connecticut-style half-court system. Slow, methodical, scripted, built for DeWanna Bonner's isolation scoring, not Caitlin's up-tempo genius. It wasn't basketball freedom. It was basketball confinement. And here's what's truly alarming. Stephanie White knew exactly who Caitlin Clark was before she took that job. She'd watched her game for years, seen her thrive in chaos, and still forced her into a box she could never fit in. That's not a system clash. That's a fundamental misunderstanding of greatness.
How that they have... It is interesting to see how they've grown to be teammates because both of them need the ball in their hands.
Okay, yes, they both need the ball in their hands, but the difference is Kelsey Mitchell don't pass the ball once it's in her hands. Caitlin Clark does pass the ball. Caitlin Clark led the league in assists. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I get it. Sophie is trying to make everybody, she's trying to give this story while making everyone look good as well.
There it is. The core issue no one wants to admit. Both appear to need the ball, but the numbers tell a different story. Kelsey Mitchell averaged just 2.1 assists per game, while Caitlin Clark led the entire league with 8.4. That's not a conflict. That's a natural hierarchy. One's a scorer, the other's the engine. But Stephanie White didn't see it that way. She treated them like identical guards, splitting ball-handling duties, running Caitlin off screens like a shooting guard, even slotting her at small forward. Not for a few possessions, but for full games. Imagine taking Steph Curry off the ball and asking him to just stand in the corner. That's exactly what happened here. And unbelievably, it got even worse from there.
I think this is when they played Atlanta. Look, watch this. So this is Caitlin frustrated. Caitlin is very frustrated. Now, in this same sequence of this clip, you can see Caitlin. Let me pause this. So that is Caitlin yelling at Stephanie. That is Caitlin yelling at...
Freeze that frame. Caitlin's body language says everything. The clenched jaw, the turned shoulder, the look of someone who's had enough. This was the Atlanta game, the moment everything quietly broke. Multiple team sources now confirm this wasn't a tactical chat. It was an explosion. Caitlin had just gone 4 straight minutes off the ball, touching it only twice while the offense crawled. The rigid Connecticut-style system was in full control, and instead of adapting, Stephanie White stood firm. No adjustments, no freedom, just the same slow, suffocating scheme that finally pushed Caitlin past her limit.
In with Kelsey.
Now, before she gets into the Kelsey Mitchell part, Stephanie White, you knew you were coming to the Indiana Fever. You should already know the system Caitlin wants to play. Why did she have to make changes to your system to play her game? And we also know that this did not go over so smoothly because we saw Stephanie White taking shots at her on TV. We saw the back and forth argument when Caitlin Clark was going off on her in the tunnel during the Atlanta Dream game when they were going into the tunnel for halftime. We saw.
She literally had to speak up and ask, "What are we doing here?" Think about that. The number 1 draft pick, the player who sold out every arena, doubled franchise value, and revived the Fever brand, had to beg for the freedom to play her own game. That's not teamwork. That's resistance. This was never about adjustment. It was a clash of philosophies. One side wanted creativity and tempo. The other demanded structure and control. The real question is why Stephanie White fought it so hard. She'd seen Caitlin dominate at Iowa. 19 points, 8 assists, deep threes, fast breaks, chaos that crushed defenses, and still chose a system that erased everything that made her special.
Up, didn't make it. Damn near came close, but you didn't come close enough. Ain't that what happened in Connecticut with this same damn offense she was running? Wait. That was the same thing that happened. They damn near got there, but they
Special. Runner-up again. Close enough to taste it, but never crossing the line. That's been the story of every team under Stephanie White's system. Connecticut came within reach but never sealed the deal. Fast forward to Indiana. Same script, same heartbreak. This isn't bad luck. It's a pattern. Her half-court offense stalls when the lights are brightest. It's too rigid, too slow, too easy to read. And worst of all, it boxes in the stars who could break games open. Connecticut couldn't win with it. Indiana couldn't either. But here's where things take a shocking turn. Watch.
Let me see.
Because those types of athletes, they get to come into an organization, they have the green light and they can do whatever they want. Where that is very rare to get drafted and be able to control the whole system.
Right. Was CC making decisions like
Yeah.
with it? Yeah.
As she should.
No way.
As she should, but I also think that
Ooh.
go
Oh,
ahead.
that's crazy. I didn't realize that. She's just young. I just didn't think that.
But when you have a
thing.
generational talent like that, she should have a lot to say of.
Watch the sidelines. Stephanie White's face says it all. The moment Caitlin Clark starts taking over, she looks irritated. She calls it hero ball. Funny thing, though, when Kelsey Mitchell went ISO and jacked up tough shots, it wasn't hero ball. It was trusting her instincts. That double standard exposes everything. Stephanie built her offense around Kelsey because she fit the slow, methodical Connecticut mold. Half-court scorer, controlled tempo. Caitlin, she represented the exact opposite. Pace, creativity, chaos, freedom. Instead of unleashing her, Stephanie tried to contain her. When Caitlin hit that 38-foot dagger versus New York, Stephanie downplayed it. When she threw full-court lasers, they were too risky. Every part of Caitlin's genius got treated like a flaw instead of the Fever's greatest weapon ever.
It's the system. Mike said Sophie Cunningham confirms that many of us knew this. Caitlin Clark has a lot to say. Will have a lot to say over the offensive system. Anyone that knows ball knows something changed after halftime of their Atlanta game, and it stayed.
Everything shifted after halftime of that Atlanta game, and it carried straight through Dallas. That was the moment Caitlin Clark stopped asking for permission. She took over. She called her own sets, waved off scripted plays, and finally ran the offense the way she saw it. And the result? Indiana went on their best run of the entire season. The pace picked up, her assists soared, and the Fever looked flat out unstoppable until injuries slammed the brakes. But here's the real question nobody can ignore. If the team's best basketball came from Caitlin running the show, why did she have to battle her own coach just to do what clearly worked?
Not bring your Connecticut system, have her playing small forward for a handful of games, and now she gotta change the system and enforce her power. Come on now. You gotta read between the lines on some things.
Mitchell, like those two, it is very interesting to see how that they have. It is interesting to see how they've grown to be teammates because both of them need the ball in their hands.
You're supposed to build around a generational player, not box them in. The first question any smart coach asks is, what do you like? What feels natural? That's how greatness is unlocked. LeBron's teams were built around his drive and kick dominance. Steph Curry's Warriors centered on his off-ball gravity. Luka Doncic's Mavericks revolve around his pick-and-roll precision. You take what makes a superstar unique and expand it. But Stephanie White did the opposite. She came in with a rigid playbook, installed it without Caitlin's input, and expected brilliance to fit inside her structure. It didn't, and when it failed, she acted shocked. That's not coaching, that's ego dressed up as philosophy.
And when they both can elevate each other, that team is unstoppable. You get what I'm saying?
I agree. When Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell are both playing like at a high level, and I do feel like they have good chemistry. Like we saw it second half of the season, even at points this season. Like I don't think there was ever a Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark thing.
Sophie Cunningham just confirmed what many suspected. This was never a Caitlin vs. Kelsey issue. It was a Stephanie White system issue. Sophie's comments basically cleared Kelsey of any locker room tension. And she's right. Their games actually complement each other. Kelsey's the downhill scorer, Caitlin's the orchestrator. They could have thrived together if given the right structure. But Stephanie's offense split control instead of establishing hierarchy. She tried to ration possessions instead of designating a true alpha. Great teams don't operate like that. The 2016 Warriors revolved around Steph. The 2020 Lakers revolved around LeBron. Indiana never had that clarity because Stephanie refused to build around Caitlin fully. Balance sounds nice, until playoff pressure demands one voice, one leader, and one basketball identity.
When Stephanie White was in Connecticut, we all remember there was some runner-ups, and what happened? The same shit happened again. Runner-up. Blame it on injuries all you want. Stephanie White offense cannot get y'all to a championship. Caitlin can. At the end of the day, Caitlin's system read and react, that can. Guys, get down in the comment section. Let me know y'all thoughts about this, man. Keep them bells on.
Here's the timeline nobody seems to be connecting. After the Atlanta confrontation, Caitlin Clark forced system changes, and everything shifted. The Fever's offense opened up, the pace exploded, and suddenly Indiana looked like the juggernaut everyone expected. They stormed through the playoffs, playing fast, fearless basketball that showcased Clark's brilliance. Then came the injury. Caitlin went down and never returned for the finals. The moment she left, the Fever reverted right back to Stephanie White's Connecticut-style offense. Slow, rigid, half-court heavy. And just like clockwork, the results followed the same script. Close, competitive, but not enough. Runner-up. Again. Now ask yourself, was Caitlin's injury the real reason Indiana fell short? Or did the system itself collapse under pressure? Because the pattern is undeniable. Stephanie White's structure got Connecticut to the finals but never delivered the trophy. And now history just repeated itself in Indiana. That's not coincidence, that's philosophy. The Fever are at a breaking point. Either they build around Caitlin's read and react chaos, the very style that unleashed their best basketball, or they keep clinging to a system that has already proven it can't win on the biggest stage. The league's watching. The fans are demanding answers. And Caitlin? She's made it clear. She'll fight for her game if she has to.